Joining me now, CBS News Chief Election and Campaign Correspondent Robert Costa. And Robert, we're talking about this 8-hour gap in the White House logs January 6th, the day, of course, of the assault on the U.S. Capitol. So this raises a lot of questions, of course, as to what was going on, because we're talking about, what, phone logs? What other kind of information's missing here?
7 hours and 37 minutes, to be specific, between the late morning on January 6th until the early evening. Where are the phone records? We know then President Trump made many calls during the course of the attack at the Capitol. He was inside the Oval Office and his private dining room, but none of those calls show up in the logs obtained by CBS News in the Washington Post. We do have some new information that comes to light from these records, who Trump was calling in the morning, who he was calling in the late evening, but there's that gap in the middle, and it's that gap that is vexing the House January 6th committee.
So are there theories as to how he might have been communicating?
Indeed, there are. One of the theories that we've reported on is that then President Trump could have used what are called burner phones or disposable phones to avoid scrutiny of his calls by using some kind of personal phone or a staffer's phone or a phone not registered to the government. It wouldn't end up on the official record. So inside of the January 6th committee, there is an investigation going on about where exactly Trump was making calls, how he was making calls, and whether he was using so-called burner phones.
So this gap, more than 7 hours, as you point out, it's a significant amount of time. Does it seem like now there's this cover-up of what was actually happening, that people would kind of jump to that conclusion?
At some level, there's been a discrepancy in what's shared with the National Archives, because most presidents, they have their calls tracked through the White House switchboard. They are saved by the White House switchboard, then shared with the National Archives. That didn't happen here. We don't have reporting yet about why that didn't happen in this specific instance, an important instance, because this was the day of the attack on the Capitol, not just any other day in American history. And so the committee's whole mission is to find out what exactly happened behind the scenes, and they just don't have the full picture. But they learned a few things from the documents they obtained, which the Supreme Court forced the National Archives to give over. For example, Trump was calling Steve Bannon, who was not an official advisor at the time, but an outside advisor. He was calling Bannon, who's quite controversial for his views, on January 6th, not once, but twice.
Well, Robert Costa, great reporting as always. We appreciate it. We know there'll be new information forthcoming from you.
Thank you.